My family told everyone I was dead until my twin sister got sick and needed my organs. You owe her this, my mom pleaded. I said, no. You owe me 18 years. Then I pulled out my phone, hit play, and watched them all listen to the message my sister left before the truth came out. I never thought I'd step foot in my hometown again. If it weren't for the message, I wouldn't have. Even as I drove down the familiar streets, past the gas station where I used to buy candy as a kid, past the church where my mother used to drag us every Sunday, past the neighborhood where I had my first kiss, I felt like a ghost. Like someone passing through a life that was no longer mine. It had been 18 years. 18 years since I packed my bags and walked out of that house for the last time. 18 years since my parents looked me in the eye and told me I was no longer their son. 18 years since my twin sister, Harper, stood in the doorway and said nothing. I had made peace with it a long time ago. Or at least, I thought I had. But then I got the voicemail. A single, shaky message that changed everything. Asher. If this is really you, I don't know if you'll even listen to this, but please. I need to talk to you. It's about our family. It's about me. I'm sorry. Please call me back. I knew that voice. Harper. The sister who, for all I knew, had been perfectly fine living in a world where I didn't exist. The sister who, according to my mother, had wanted me gone. I should have ignored it. Deleted it. Pretended it never happened. But I didn't. I called her back. She picked up on the first ring. Asher. Her voice cracked. She sounded like she had been crying. I need to see you. And against my better judgment, I went. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and bad memories. I hated places like this. Too many reminders of the nights I spent lying awake in cold beds, wondering why no one wanted me. Wondering why my parents never came looking for me. But as I walked down the sterile hallway toward Harper's room, something heavier settled in my chest. Something dark and ugly and full of questions I wasn't ready to ask, and then I saw her. She looked small. Harper had always been the bright one, the golden girl, the one who could do no wrong in my parents' eyes. But now, she was pale. Fragile. Sunken into the bed with dark circles under her eyes and 4 lines running from her arm. For a second, I almost felt something close to concern. And then I saw them. Sitting by her bedside. Margaret and Stephen Keaton. My parents. The 2 people who erased me. My mother gasped the moment she saw me, her hands flying to her mouth like she had just seen a ghost. And maybe, in a way, she had. Asher? She whispered. My father just stared, his face unreadable. I clenched my fists. I should turn around and leave. I should walk away and never look back. But then Harper sat up, her eyes brimming with tears. You came. And that was when I knew something was very, very wrong. I crossed my arms, keeping my voice flat. What do you want, Harper? She swallowed hard. I'm sick. I let out a short, humorless laugh. Yeah. I can see that. It's my kidneys, she admitted, glancing down at her hands. They're failing. I need a transplant. I froze. And just like that, everything clicked. The phone call. The sudden desperation. The fact that, after 18 years, they finally decided I was worth looking for. They weren't here for me. They were here for my kidney. I stared at them, waiting for one of them to say something, anything, that would prove me wrong. That would show me I was being paranoid, that this was all some awful misunderstanding. But then my mother reached for my hand, her face crumbling into a desperate, pleading expression. You need to be tested, she said quickly, her fingers digging into my wrist. You're her best chance, Asher. You're her twin. I yanked my arm away. You're joking, I said, my voice dangerously low. Asher, after everything you did to me, after telling the entire town I was dead, you seriously think I'd just hand over a kidney like it's nothing? My mother flinched like I had slapped her. You owe her this, she snapped, her voice rising. She's your sister. No matter what's happened, she's still your blood. I laughed. I actually laughed. Because it was so goddamn ridiculous that I didn't know what else to do. No. She stiffened. No? No, I said again, firmer. You owe me 18 years. Something dark flickered across my father's face. We did what we had to do, he said, his voice measured. You were ruining this family, Asher. There it was. The truth. Ruining. That was the word he used when he caught me kissing a boy in our backyard at 17. That was the word he used when he grabbed my suitcase and tossed it onto the front lawn. That was the word my mother echoed when she stood beside him and said, You are not our son anymore. And now? Now, they wanted me to be their son again. Because my kidney was convenient. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. You know what's funny? I asked, scrolling through my messages. Harper called me before you did. My mother's face paled. She what? Yeah, I said, pressing play on the voicemail. And as Harper's own voice filled the room, I watched their expressions shatter. I know what they did to you is wrong. I know they told everyone you were dead, but I never wanted that, Asher. They made me lie. They made me pretend you never existed. I should have fought harder for you. I should have tried to find you. I was scared. I was weak. But I never wanted this. I understand if you hate me. But I need you to know the truth. Silence. Complete, suffocating silence. Harper's eyes were wide, full of something close to panic. My mother looked like she was about to collapse. My father's hands curled into fists. I took a slow, steady breath. You lied about me being dead, I said, my voice eerily calm. Harper let out a broken sob. I was a kid, Asher. They told me it was the only way. They said you were never coming back. I tilted my head, staring at the family I once had. Well, I murmured, stepping toward the door. They were right about that. And then I walked out. I didn't stop walking until I was outside the hospital. The air was thick and humid, the way Pennsylvania summers always were. A storm was coming. I could smell the rain in the air, feel the pressure in my chest. It was funny. When I was younger, I used to love thunderstorms. I used to sit by my bedroom window and watch the sky split open, counting the seconds between lightning and thunder. Harper would sit with me sometimes. She used to be afraid of storms, but she pretended she wasn't. That was the thing about Harper, she was always pretending. I dragged a hand down my face and exhaled. My heart was still pounding, adrenaline still burning in my veins. I should have expected it. The second I heard her voice on that voicemail, I should have known. But some stupid, hopeful part of me, the part that still remembered what it felt like to have a twin sister, to have a family, thought maybe, just maybe, she actually wanted to see me. Not because she was dying. Not because she needed something from me. But because she missed me. I should have known better. My phone buzzed in my pocket. For a second, I thought about ignoring it, but something told me I shouldn't. When I pulled it out, I saw a new message. From Harper. Please don't go. I need to talk to you. Alone. I stared at the words, my thumb hovering over the screen. I should block her. I should get in my car, drive away, and never look back. Instead, I found myself typing a response. Where? Her reply came almost instantly. There's a diner down the street. Meet me in 20 minutes? I hesitated. I didn't know her this. I didn't know her anything. But against all logic, I found myself slipping my phone back into my pocket and heading toward my car. The diner was almost empty when I walked in. It was one of those old, greasy places that hadn't changed in decades, red vinyl booths, a flickering neon sign in the window, the smell of burnt coffee and cheap bacon. I had been here before. A long, long time ago. Harper was already sitting in a corner booth, her hands wrapped around a cup of coffee. She looked even worse under the fluorescent lights, pale, hollowed out, like she was barely hanging on. She looked up when I approached, her eyes flickering with something I couldn't name. I wasn't sure if you'd come. Neither was I admitted, sliding into the seat across from her. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The silence between us was thick, years of unspoken words hanging in the air. Finally, Harper cleared her throat. I know you probably hate me, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I said nothing. And I don't blame you. If I were you, she swallowed hard. I wouldn't forgive me either. I leaned back against the booth, arms crossed. So why did you want to meet? She exhaled shakily, staring down at her coffee. Because. I need you to know the truth. All of it. I stiffened. What truth? She licked her lips, hesitating. And then she looked up at me, her green eyes full of something that almost resembled guilt. Mom and Dad didn't just tell people you were dead. A chill ran down my spine. What do you mean? Harper took a deep breath, her fingers tightening around the cup like she needed to hold on to something. I mean, they made sure no one could ever find you. My heart skipped a beat. Explain. She hesitated. Do you remember Mark and Janine? Our neighbors? I nodded slowly. They were nice enough. I used to mow their lawn for extra cash when I was a kid. A few years after you left, they ran into me at the grocery store. Mark asked how you were doing. She let out a humorless laugh. I wasn't supposed to talk to them. I wasn't supposed to talk to anyone about you, but I slipped up. I told him I didn't know. And? Harper met my gaze, her throat bobbing. The next day, Mom and Dad called me into the living room. Mom was crying. Dad was furious. They told me if I ever mentioned your name again, if I ever so much as hinted that you were still alive, I'd be dead to them too. My stomach twisted. And you believed them? She shook her head. I didn't just believe them, Asher. I was scared of them. The realization hit me all at once. They threatened you. Harper nodded. They did more than that. They made sure no one would ever ask about you again. I clenched my jaw. How? She swallowed hard. They didn't just tell people you were dead, Asher. They showed them. I froze. What? Harper squeezed her eyes shut for a second, like she was bracing herself. They held a funeral for you. I couldn't breathe. The room around me blurred, my ears ringing. What the HLL are you talking about? A fake funeral, Harper whispered. They had a service. A closed casket. They told people you died in an accident out of state. They even had an obituary published in the paper. My hands were shaking. I curled them into fists, pressing them against the sticky table to steady myself. You're lying. I wish I was. My mind was spinning. A funeral. A fake goddamn funeral. I wasn't just erased. I was buried. I shot up from the booth so fast that the table rattled. Harper flinched. Asher, please, you expect me to believe this? You expect me to believe they went that far? I know it sounds crazy, but it's the truth. Prove it. Harper hesitated. And then, slowly, she reached into her bag. She pulled out a folded piece of newspaper. I snatched it from her hands, my pulse pounding as I unfolded it. And there it was. A yellowed obituary, printed in the Chestwick Gazette. My name. My birthday. And a single, gut-wrenching sentence that made my stomach drop. Asher Keaton, beloved son and brother, passed away tragically at the age of 17. He will be deeply missed. I couldn't move. Couldn't think. I told you, Harper whispered. They made sure no one would ever come looking for you. I looked at her. And for the first time in 18 years, I felt something new. Something sharp. Something dangerous. I wasn't just angry anymore. I wanted revenge. I stared at the obituary, my hands gripping the paper so tightly that my knuckles turned white. The words blurred as my breathing grew uneven, my pulse hammering in my ears. My parents hadn't just disowned me. They hadn't just cut me off. They buried me. They told the world I was dead. My stomach churned, my vision tinged with red. It was one thing to be rejected, to be cast aside like I never existed. I had spent years making peace with that. But this? This was something darker. Tell me everything, I said, my voice rough, barely above a whisper. Harper hesitated, her fingers tightening around her coffee cup. Asher, no more half-truths, I cut her off. No more excuses. No more bullshit. Tell me everything. From the beginning. She exhaled shakily, looking down at her lap like she couldn't bear to meet my eyes. It started the night you left, she admitted. After Dad threw you out, I tried to talk to them. I asked them what we were supposed to tell people, what I was supposed to say if anyone asked about you. I could still remember that night like it had happened yesterday. My father's face, twisted in disgust. My mother standing beside him, silent but complicit. The way the porch light flickered as I took one last look at the only home I had ever known. Mom wouldn't stop crying, Harper continued, her voice quiet. But Dad. He was different. He was calm. Colder than I had ever seen him. He said, Asher is gone. As far as this family is concerned, he never existed. And then he looked right at me and said, do you understand me, Harper? My jaw tightened. That sounded exactly like him. I didn't understand what he meant at first, she continued, her eyes glassy. Not really. But then, the next day, Mom told me that we weren't allowed to mention your name. At school. To our relatives. To anyone. They made me lie. They made me act like you never existed. I scoffed. And you went along with it. Harper winced. I was a kid, Asher. I was 15. I was scared. And then, a few weeks later, they planned the funeral. My stomach twisted. Why? Because people were asking questions, she said simply. Mark and Janine asked where you were. Aunt Linda tried to call you. Even our pastor at church mentioned that he hadn't seen you in a while. And you know Dad, he hated losing control over a situation. I did know. My father ruled our family with an iron grip. So he made up the story, Harper continued. He told people you had gone to another state and gotten into an accident. That you, she swallowed hard, her voice cracking, that you didn't make it. I felt like I was going to be sick. And everyone believed it? Harper nodded. They did more than believe it, Asher. They mourned you. A bitter laugh escaped my throat. You have got to be kidding me. I'm not, she whispered. Mom put on this whole performance, crying at church, talking about what a tragedy it was. People brought over food. They sent cards. The school put your picture up in the memorial case next to the gym. I clenched my fists so hard my nails dug into my palms. Jesus Christ, I muttered. They even had a priest give a eulogy, she added. It was in the church. They played your favorite hymn. People got up and talked about what a great kid you were, how much they'd miss you. My head snapped up. They had a F. King eulogy for me? Harper flinched but nodded. I sat in the front row, she admitted, tears slipping down her face now. I sat there and listened to people talk about you like you were gone forever, and I couldn't say a damn thing. I stared at her, my chest tightening. I wanted to be furious at her. I was furious. She had stood there, surrounded by people who claimed to have loved me, and said nothing. She had let it happen. But at the same time, I could see the guilt in her eyes. The pain. The years of silence weighing on her like a chain she had never been able to break. I exhaled sharply, raking a hand through my hair. And you never tried to reach out? Not once? I wanted to, she said quickly. I swear, Asher, I wanted to. But I was scared. They kept such a tight leash on me, and I was just a kid. And then time passed, and it felt like it was too late. I shook my head. Too late? It's never too late to tell the truth, Harper. But you didn't, did you? You just lived your life, while I spent years wondering why my own family never came looking for me. I know. Her voice was thick with emotion. And I'm sorry. I am. But when I got sick, when I was in that hospital bed, all I could think about was you. About how I never got to tell you the truth. About how you deserve to know. I stared at her for a long moment. And what about them? I asked finally. Mom and Dad. Did they even hesitate before reaching out to me? Or did they see my name on your medical records and think, oh, good, he's still alive, he can be useful to us now? Harper swallowed hard. It wasn't like that. Like HLL it wasn't, I snapped. They buried me, Harper. They lied to everyone we ever knew. And when they finally needed me, they came crawling back, expecting me to just hand over a kidney like none of it ever happened. She wiped at her eyes. I know. And you don't have to do it, Asher. I know that. I know I don't deserve to ask you for anything. But I just wanted to see you again. Even if this is the last time. Her voice cracked on the last word. And God help me, despite everything, despite the anger, the betrayal, the absolute gut-wrenching hatred I felt toward our parents, I still felt something for her. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was some long-buried twin connection I thought had died years ago. Or maybe I was just too tired to hold on to the rage anymore. I let out a slow, shaky breath. I don't know what you want from me, Harper. Nothing, she said quickly. I just want to talk. Please. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to get up and leave. To walk out of this diner and never look back. But another part of me, the part that spent 18 years wondering why, needed answers. Needed closure. And maybe, just maybe, needed revenge. So I stayed. For now. I sat there, staring at Harper across the cracked laminate table, the smell of burnt coffee thick in the air between us. My hands were still shaking. This was too much. All of it. I had spent nearly 2 decades thinking I had been abandoned. That my family cut me off because they were ashamed, because they didn't want to deal with the disgrace of having a son who wasn't what they wanted. But this wasn't just abandonment. This wasn't just shame. This was erasure. They had killed me on paper. Buried me in the minds of everyone I had ever known. Held a fake funeral, gave fake eulogies, cried fake tears. And the worst part? People had believed it. I had always assumed that no one came looking for me because they didn't care. That my friends had moved on. That my teachers, my neighbors, my extended family just wrote me off as another lost kid who had slipped through the cracks. But they hadn't. They had grieved me. Because they thought I was dead. Harper shifted in her seat, fingers twisting together in her lap. She looked like she wanted to say something else, but she was waiting. Letting me process. Finally, I found my voice. Who was there? Harper frowned. What? At the funeral, I clarified, my voice hollow. Who was there? She swallowed hard. Everyone. I felt my stomach twist. Be specific, Harper. She hesitated, but when she saw the look on my face, she sighed. Aunt Linda, Uncle Rob. Pastor Warren. Mark and Janine. Some of your old teachers. Your entire baseball team, well, former baseball team. And. She hesitated. And what? She looked down at her hands. Milo was there. The air in my lungs disappeared. Milo. Harper nodded. Yeah. Milo Reyes. My first kiss. My first love. My best friend. The boy I had spent years trying to forget. I clenched my jaw so hard my teeth ached. Did he speak? I asked. Harper hesitated. Harper. She exhaled. Yeah. He did. My throat felt tight. What did he say? She bit her lip. He cried. He got up there and talked about how you were the kindest person he'd ever met. How you were always looking out for other people. How, she stopped herself, watching me carefully. How what? I demanded. She looked nervous now, like she wasn't sure if she should say it. Harper, I snapped. She sighed. He said he loved you. I felt like someone had punched me in the gut. I sat there, frozen, while her words settled deep in my chest, cracking something open I had tried to keep locked away for years. Milo had stood up at my funeral and told a room full of people that he had loved me. And I had never even known. I forced myself to breathe. Where is he now? Harper hesitated. I don't know. Bullshit. She flinched. I swear, Asher. He left town a few years after. After everything. I don't know where he went. I don't know if he ever came back. I stared at her, searching for any sign of a lie. But I didn't see one. Milo was gone. Just like I had been. I leaned back in the booth, my head pounding. This was too much. It was all too much. Harper watched me carefully. Are you okay? I let out a sharp, bitter laugh. Not even close. She swallowed hard. I know this is a lot, but I needed to tell you. You deserve to know. I shook my head, exhaling through my nose. You should have told me a long time ago. I know, she whispered. And I can't change that. But Asher, she stopped herself, hesitating. What? She looked down, chewing on her lip. I need to ask you something. And I know you're going to hate me for it. I stiffened. Then don't ask, she sighed, rubbing her hands together nervously. It's not about the transplant, she said quickly. I swear. I know you probably think that's all I wanted from you, but it's not. I stayed silent, waiting. She swallowed. I need to know if you're going to tell people. I blinked. Tell people what? She looked me right in the eye. That you're alive. A slow, creeping cold spread through my chest. Why does that matter? I asked. Harper hesitated. Because if you do, it's going to destroy them. I let out a humorless laugh. Good. Asher, they destroyed me, Harper, I snapped. They took away my name, my history, my entire existence. You really think I give a damn if the truth ruins them? She exhaled, pressing her fingers against her temples. I'm not saying they don't deserve it, she admitted. But if this gets out, if people find out what they did. I tilted my head. What? What happens, Harper? She hesitated, then leaned in slightly, lowering her voice. Mom is running for office. I stared at her. What? City council, she said. She's been planning it for years. Dad's been helping her make connections, get donors. She's got momentum, Asher. People love her. They think she's this strong, grieving mother who lost her son and turned her pain into public service. I felt something hot and sharp crack through my ribs. Are you serious? Harper nodded. It's all been leading up to this. If you come back, if people find out you're alive, it will ruin her. I let out a slow breath. A new feeling settled into my bones. Something I hadn't allowed myself to fully embrace yet. Not just anger. Not just betrayal. But opportunity. I met Harper's gaze, my voice steady. Good. Because if my mother thought she could erase me and walk away unscathed, she was about to learn just how wrong she was. I sat back in the booth, rolling Harper's words around in my head. My mother. Running for public office. She had built a career on a lie, on my death. She had used the fake grief of losing her son to push herself into a position of power, turning herself into a sympathetic figure. And now? Now she wanted to be a leader in the community. A woman of honor. A politician people could trust. I almost laughed. She had taken everything from me. My home. My family. My identity. And now? I was going to take everything from her. I left Harper at the diner that night without telling her what I was planning. Not because I didn't trust her, but because I needed time to think. I drove around town for hours, letting old memories creep in whether I wanted them to or not. The streets were smaller than I remembered. The houses felt closer together. Even the town square, where they still held the annual summer festival, looked like something out of a picture I had seen years ago, instead of a real, living place. I could still see my past here, etched into every crack in the sidewalk. I could still feel the ghost of who I used to be. And the longer I drove, the more certain I became. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. This was about truth. It was about getting back the life they stole from me. By the time I pulled into a motel parking lot and checked into a dingy room for the night, I knew exactly what I was going to do. The next morning, I started with social media. My old accounts were long gone, deactivated years ago, but that didn't matter. I made a new one. One with my name. My real name. And then, I made my first post. It was simple. Direct. My name is Asher Keaton. 18 years ago, my parents told the world I was dead. They held a fake funeral. They lied to everyone I ever loved. And now, my mother, the woman who buried me alive, is running for public office. And attached to the post? A picture of the obituary Harper had given me. I hit post. And then, I waited. It didn't take long. At first, it was just a trickle. A few likes. A couple of comments. Then, within an hour, hundreds. By noon, thousands. People were shocked. Angry. Some of them remembered me, old classmates, old neighbors. Some of them had been at my funeral. And all of them had questions. I didn't stop there. I sent an email to a local news station. Then another. Then another. I wanted them to pick up the story. I wanted my mother to be forced to answer for what she had done. I wanted the truth to come out. By the afternoon, my phone was blowing up. Harper. Unknown numbers. Even a message request from someone I hadn't seen in nearly 20 years. Milo. Is this real? I stared at his name on my screen, my chest tightening. I didn't have time to process it. Not yet. Because at that moment, my phone started ringing again. And this time? It was her. I let it ring until it went to voicemail. A few seconds later, my mother's voice filled the motel room. Asher, you need to call me back. Right now. This is getting out of hand. We need to talk. We need to fix this. I almost laughed. We needed to fix this? She wasn't sorry. She was scared. She wasn't calling to apologize, she was calling because she knew she had been caught. Good. Let her be scared. I didn't call back. Instead, I turned on the news. And there it was. Local political candidate Margaret Keaton faces scandal after allegations from deceased son. Her picture was plastered on the screen, side by side with a screenshot of my post. And then? They played her campaign speech from last week. I know what it's like to lose someone you love, she had said, her voice thick with emotion. I have experienced the greatest loss a mother can endure, the loss of a child, and through that pain, I have learned the value of community, of truth, of honesty. I turned off the TV before I could throw the remote at it. Honesty. She wouldn't know honesty if it slapped her in the face. But now? Now, the whole world knew exactly what kind of person she was. And she had nowhere to hide. By the end of the week, everything had fallen apart for her. Donors pulled their funding. The press was relentless. People she had known for decades, friends, colleagues, even family, turned on her. And when a reporter finally cornered her outside her campaign office, demanding to know if the accusations were true, she panicked. She fumbled through some half-assed excuse about miscommunication and family struggles, but it wasn't enough. Because people weren't stupid. Because I wasn't a secret anymore. Because I was alive. By the time she held a press conference, it was too late. I deeply regret any misunderstanding that has come from this situation. I turned off the live stream. Because I had one. Harper called me later that night. It's over, she said. She dropped out of the race. I exhaled, closing my eyes. Good. Harper was quiet for a long time. Are you okay? I thought about it. For years, I had convinced myself that I didn't need closure. That I didn't need to look back. That the past was better left buried. But the truth was? I had been waiting for this moment for 18 years. I opened my eyes, looking out at the dark sky. Yeah, I said finally. I think I am. A week later, I was packing up my motel room when I got a knock at the door. When I opened it, my breath caught in my throat. Milo. Older. Taller. But still him. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then, he let out a shaky breath. I went to your funeral, he said quietly. I swallowed. I know. His throat bobbed. I meant what I said that day, you know. About loving you. I clenched my jaw, my heart aching. Why didn't you ever leave? I asked. Why did you stay in that town, knowing what they did? He gave me a sad smile. I was waiting for you to come back. My chest tightened. I stared at him, unsure of what to say. And then, finally, I did the only thing that made sense. I pulled him into a hug. He didn't let go. And for the first time in 18 years, neither did I.
الغنوة اللي جاية دي حضراتكم هقولوها معايا، يعني انتوا رغبتكم، بس انتوا اول ما هتسمعوها هتعرفوا. انما انا عايز اقول لكم هي كلمات مين. هي كلمات الدكتور مدحت العدل والحان خالد حماد وتوزيعه برضه. هنغنيها اول ما تسمعوا الدخول، هتغنوا معانا على طول.